My beloved Madridistas, you need to watch this video, okay? I never say this stuff. You guys know me. I never say stuff like this. But this is a video you need to watch. If you want to know what's happening in Spain, what's happening in this league, and the backstory, you need to watch this one. Welcome back to Madrid, one of the most charming cities in the world. Welcome back to Spain, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And welcome back to La Liga, to the most corrupt, disgusting, grotesque, third world league, certainly in Europe, possibly in the world. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I'm going to show you what happened during that penalty. Sorry about my voice. I lost it last night for reasons I'm sure you can imagine. But we're going to talk about the match. We'll talk about sporting issues and players. But we're also going to talk about the penalty and the implications. This is insane. Okay, one more thing before we get started. This is the 1-year anniversary of this channel. I put out my first video on February 7th last year, and I just want to thank all of you for your support, your comments, your engagement. This is such a fun hobby for me, and none of it would make any sense without you guys. And I'm eternally grateful for your support and your engagement. I really am very grateful from the bottom of my heart. I want you guys to know that. But we have a lot to cover today, a lot to discuss, and I think it's really interesting, and I think you guys need to hear it. So. Welcome back to the channel. Boy, do we have a lot to discuss. Okay, let's get started. All right, Madridistas, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. All right, man. We gotta talk about stuff. Okay. First of all, let me just say the tension level last night was really, really high. I've been to a million derbies against Atleti. Obviously they're the crosstown rival, and it's always, extra exciting. But last night there was an extra octave of energy and an extra octave of tension that I hadn't seen against Atleti in a long time. I mean, with the letter that Real Madrid wrote. And then the reaction on the part of other clubs and the reaction on the part of Simeone and other people from Atletico Madrid, some of the things they said, they really kind of heated the atmosphere. And I can tell you that the tension last night was really, really high. It was pretty amazing. Let's talk about the sporting stuff, a little bit first, and we'll get to the penalty. Atleti is a very tough nut to crack, okay? They have a very defined style of play. Simeone has been there forever. This is one of the most disciplined defensive teams that you'll come across. It is admirable in some respects because they do it very well. This is a team that defends incredibly well, especially when you watch it live and you look at the defensive line and how compact they are. This is a team that's very, very well organized. They know exactly how they play. They have the system down pat, and you have to give them credit because this is an incredibly disciplined team, and they're always a very, very tough rival. I went into the match, very concerned. I mean, we were going out with a 4-3-3, 3 forwards, and 2 soft left, the left back and right back, and Lucas Vázquez and Fran. I was a little bit concerned about that because, defensively, I thought, we've been vulnerable in the back, and as I was, definitely concerned. This is the lineup that he came out with. It wasn't tremendously surprising. I don't think we can be too surprised. He opted for Fran instead of Mendy, which gives us a lot more mobility. Lucas Vázquez was, a bit of a surprise because he has been really soft lately. So I was kind of apprehensive, but this is other than that, I don't think that there were too many surprises in the lineup. The first half was just sluggish. One of the things that it's just really bothering me this season is we start every match so sluggish, so tentative. We're kind of like, almost fearful and tentative, and this just goes completely against our DNA, and it worries me that perhaps some of this comes from, insecurity, and that really affects your play. We don't seem to have that kind of killer confidence this year, and eventually once you poke the bear, we wake up and we start to play, but it just seems that we start every match so tentatively, and it's really hurting us this year. Atleti played their typical low block, as you can imagine, and it was really hard to get through. I mean, it's such a thick layer of players, and our ball movement was really slow. Okay, I mean, it was very predictable and very slow. And when you're playing against a super well-organized defense like this, the only way to break through is to take people on one-on-one and to pass very quickly, very quick 1-2s, very quick give and goes. It's the only way to break through. Or you just lob balls into the box, and try to make something out of that. But it's very difficult. And the way that we were moving the ball so sluggishly, so slowly, so predictably, it looked like there's no way we're going to get through them. All of that changed in the second half. But in the first half, that's definitely the impression I had. Now, Atleti, obviously was, defending and looking for a counter. They do look competent on the counter. They never really created any clear chances, but they did look competent. I mean, they are a team that knows how to steal the ball and move the ball out in transition. So they did look competent and threatening, although it never really translated into clear chances, maybe one or two. Another thing I noticed is that the forwards, there was in the first half, very little movement. So I went with my uncle and a couple of his friends, and we were commenting as the game was going on that there's just no movement. Like, on TV, obviously the TV follows the ball, but in the stadium, you can see the players in front and who's moving, who's not moving. And there was very, very little movement off the ball. And if there's no movement off the ball, you don't know who to pass to. So you end up holding the ball too long, which allows them to press you. So it was very static and very, very frustrating. Now, then, of course, came the penalty. And this is, unfortunately, we need to talk about this. This is absolutely the most ridiculous thing that I think I've seen. I've been watching the sport. I'm 56 years old. I've never seen anything so absolutely fucking ridiculous in my life. This was a totally innocuous play. In real time, completely insignificant. The ball had passed. The ball wasn't even in play. It had nothing to do with the play. I can tell you that nobody in the stadium, nobody noticed anything. I mean, even the Atletico players, no one noticed anything. And then all of a sudden they stopped play. And we were, we're like, well, did somebody get injured? I mean, we literally didn't know why the play was stopped. And it's just incredible. And now we know what happened. And I'm going to tell you what happened. So this time they release the audio. So when they think it benefits them, they'll release the audio. So what happened is in this play by the way, I'm going to show you that Tchouaméni did not touch Lino. Okay. Not only was it a totally innocuous play, and even if there were a little bit of contact, it's still not a penalty. I mean, to call a penalty, you have to be sure. I mean, you can't call a penalty if you're kind of, maybe. You have to be sure, and that's why we have VAR. But this was incredible. So here's what happened. The ref gets a call from the VAR booth, and they go, all right, the possible penalty. He goes to the screen, and they show him two images, which are kind of iffy. I mean, it's not even clear if there's contact even in those pictures, but there are images that show unequivocally that there was no contact. So the guy in the VAR booth says to the ref, look at these images. I think he stepped on him. And the ref says, well, I'm not really sure. And the VAR guy goes, yeah, no, I mean, he stepped on him, it's a penalty. And the ref says, well, can I have more images? And the guy goes, well, no, the other ones are too blurry. You can't see them. Which is bullshit. They're not too blurry. You can see them. Here they are. Look at this. Okay, look at this. Does Tchouaméni step on him? He doesn't even lower his heel. He doesn't make contact with Lino's foot. Now, that image was available in the VAR booth, but they deliberately didn't show it to the ref and just told him it's a penalty. It's a penalty. And the ref goes and gives it. They literally are withholding images from the ref. This is the level of embedded corruption is absolutely incredible. And I discuss this with my friends here, and I say, when I watch football in other leagues, I watch the Serie A, or I'll watch the Premier League or the Bundesliga, you don't even notice the refs. You don't even notice the refs. They're not even there. I mean, you just watch the game, and every single match in Spain, the ref is the protagonist. Something has to do with the ref. There's some call. Not only are they corrupt, which they clearly are, but they also suck. They're just not very good because they call everything, they're constantly looking for something to whistle. It's just, I don't know, this need to be a protagonist and to interrupt play constantly. And if something is questionable, they whistle. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. If you're not sure, you're not supposed to whistle. You have to just continue play, which is why it's just so much more enjoyable to watch other leagues because you don't have these problems. But again, there was no contact. Tchouaméni didn't step on him. His heel never came down. And the VAR booth deliberately withheld information from the ref so that he would call a penalty. It's absolutely incredible. It's just, this has gotten to a point where, think about the audacity of these people. Real Madrid writes a letter that makes shockwaves around the world, complaining about systemic corruption. A Spanish judge has already said that there's ample evidence of systemic corruption, which is why they're investigating and processing the Negreira case. By the way, you Barça people that come to my channel and say that Barça was absolved, I don't know what planet you live on. It's in the courts. It's being dealt with in the courts as we speak. There's been no judgment. Okay, they said there was no money laundering, but that's not what we're investigating. We're investigating corruption, and that investigation is ongoing. So please stop coming onto my channel saying stupid shit, because it's annoying as hell. But anyway, the point is, you know, this need for protagonism is absolutely incredible. You know, when I got home, I had text messages from all over the world, from friends who are not necessarily Real Madrid supporters, but they love football. You know, they support Bayern Munich, or they support Chelsea or Man U, Liverpool, Ajax, like from all over the world. And my friends going, "What the fuck was that call? What the hell was that?" And then you speak to people in Spain, like I speak to my friends here who like support Barça or Atleti, and these fuckers still insist that it was a penalty, even if you show them the footage. Like, there is these people are so, their hate for Real Madrid is so strong that it doesn't matter what evidence you put in front of them. They literally just kind of cannot get past it, you know. You can love your club and you can hate Real Madrid, but it doesn't mean that you can't sort of be objective from time to time. I love my kids, but if they fuck up, I'll tell them. And I can acknowledge when my kids make mistakes. Doesn't mean I don't love them, but there's always room for a little bit of objectivity and honesty. It doesn't contradict your commitment, your loyalty, or love to say. But these people don't operate that way. They are absolutely, completely brainwashed. Now, I don't know if they really believe what they say or if they just think they have to pretend they believe it. I don't know psychologically how this works, but it's incredible what these people say. This was absolutely scandalous, and the images make it very, very clear. And I was absolutely livid last night. Dr. Saab, by the way, one of my favorite subs. Dr. Saab, I could have used a doctor in the Bernabeu last night because my blood pressure was through the roof. But anyway, absolutely scandalous. Okay, let's go on. The second half, totally different, okay? And what was the difference between the first half and the second half? Only one thing, running and tempo and intensity. That's it, okay? There was no tactical change, nothing changed. Same players. The only difference was energy, commitment, running, and sacrificing, and playing at 100% instead of 72. That was the only reason. The entire second half, we had Kylian's goal came in the 50th minute. Great goal. Kylian had an amazing night. And we had them against the ropes the entire second half. We should have closed this game out. We had a lot of opportunities, just a little bit unlucky that we weren't able to score again. But you know, we took 1 point out of this match. This is the second in two. Let's think about this. In the last two Liga matches, we have 1 point and we should have had 6. And the only reason we don't have 6 points instead of 1 are ref decisions. And this is not an excuse. I'm telling you, it is not an excuse. If it were the other way around, I swear I would admit it. But the only reason that we took 1 point away instead of 6, and it had nothing to do with football, and everything to do with the corruption in this league. Look, in terms of the takeaways, in terms of play, okay, how are we going to win La Liga with refs like this who are looking constantly to find any little thing against us? It's going to be very difficult. Last night's scoreline obviously benefits Barça, which is what this entire mafia is designed to do. I'm very worried about the first 15 minutes, and I mentioned this in my video the other day, that the first 15 minutes we come out way too slow, way too cold, very tentative. I'm very worried that what that signals is insecurity and lack of confidence. And that worries me tremendously, because if there's one thing that characterizes Real Madrid over the decades is balls. We play with high energy and a lot of balls, and we always believe, and we always attack, and we're fearless. And I just don't like this tentative sort of attitude that we have in matches this season. And I think it's a reflection of this kind of deep insecurity that we have, especially in defense. Another takeaway, I'm getting really tired of Ancelotti's late changes. It was very clear last night during the course of the match that Ceballos, who I think played wonderfully, he ran his ass off. I'm kidding. And most of it you see on TV, but he ran his ass off, and you could tell in the second half that Ceballos was fried, and that change should have come much earlier. But Ancelotti just waits so long to make these changes. I don't understand what this apprehension is to make changes. That these changes that he makes in the 87th minute are completely meaningless. What is the point of doing this? That's another kind of infuriating takeaway from last night. Again, like I say, the killer instinct thing bothers me a little bit, that we just don't, there's something missing in terms of that kind of killer instinct that we've always had. I think, this is a match that we should have won, that I think that we deserve to win, and I'm just really worried that we're not getting over the line in some of these matches. In terms of Man City, I am very, very concerned, because I don't care how poorly Man City is doing this year, okay? I don't really care. This is a team that has De Bruyne. This is a team that has Bernardo Silva, Erling Haaland, Foden, Grealish. This is a team that is absolutely jam-packed with unbelievable talent, and they're going to be really, really tough. And the lineup is going to be completely different. By the way, I'm telling you now, there's no way we show up in Manchester with the lineup from last night. Absolutely no way. I think in right back, don't be surprised to see Fede. Left back, he'll probably go back to Mendy, because I think he trusts him more defensively. Even though Fran had an incredible night last night, I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch. But I think he'll go back to kind of a seriously defensive posture, which might be the right thing to do. Okay, a few other things to talk about. Let me just do players real quick. Okay, Courtois, there's nothing to judge. He barely had anything to do. No saves, because Atleti really didn't create any chances, and a penalty is a penalty. What the hell do you expect the guy to do? So Courtois, I think, was fine, because he impossible to judge. Lucas Vázquez was okay. I mean, he wasn't bad. I mean, he wasn't as defensive. He didn't make as many mistakes as we've seen in recent matches. He tried his best going forward. I think he had an okay match, but nothing to write home about. I thought Fran was spectacular, and I can't begin to tell you how much this kid ran last night, because some of the sprints, on the Atleti counters, Fran's backtracking was, it was exhausting just to watch him, but he sprinted so much during this match, and participated up front. He was very good in transition. He always helped transition up when we stole the ball. I was very happy with Fran, and I like him more than Mendy these days. I'll be honest with you. Would I play him against City? Maybe. I know Ancelotti is convinced that Mendy's a better defender, which is an argument you could make. But I think that Fran recently is defending very, very well, and he's contributing so much more going forward. I would tend to lean towards Fran. I have to say, last night he was exceptional. He was phenomenal. Tchouaméni, I think, played okay. There were a couple of plays where he's just a little bit slow to, when he recovers the ball, the transition, he's just a little bit slow in kind of stealing the ball into attack. He sometimes was just a little bit slow, but I think generally speaking, he played well, and he did have a couple of very, very critical plays. There were some one-on-ones where, he held his position very well, and saved us on a couple of occasions. So I think Tchouaméni, we've been very hard on him this year, and rightfully so. But I think last night he played well, and we have to give him credit and be fair about this. Okay, Asensio was incredible. Okay, I mean, I'm telling you, the Bernabeu loves this kid. I mean, it's just they love this kid. This guy, his timing. So Asensio's timing going to ground. So one of the key things that a defender has to think about is, go to ground or not go to ground, and when. And Asensio has such wonderful timing, knowing when to go to ground and knowing when not to. He's also incredibly quick. Like, this kid recovers really fast, and he's just so emphatic. I mean, he's just like, when he goes in for a ball, I mean, there's just no fucking around. I mean, he goes in hard, he goes for the ball, and he makes his presence known. This kid has a lot of character. He's got a lot of personality, plays with a lot of balls and a lot of physicality. And he had an amazing match, and the Bernabeu loves this kid, and rightfully so. Asensio needs to be a starter come hell or high water until everybody's 100%, because this kid has completely convinced me. I'm a convert. Asensio needs to start every match until everybody is perfect. Ceballos played well. Ceballos, the only thing I'll say about Ceballos, he sometimes slows play down a little. He just sometimes slows play down a little, because he does get a little bit elaborate. Just an extra dribble too many, an extra touch too many, and it takes him a little bit of time to sort of see the flow and where the ball needs to go. He tends to slow us down a little bit in transition, but I think he played really, really well. He covered a huge amount of ground. He ran his ass off. He defended very well, distributed the ball well, and he was very, very present. He just felt very present throughout the whole match. I think Ceballos played very well. Fede played another one of his, non-flashy but absolutely fundamentally solid matches. This is what Fede does. He brings such common sense to our play. He always seems to decide well. He knows when he recovers the ball and is being pressed, he always does the right thing, and he uses his speed. He knows that when, in some situations, the best solution is just to run forward and carry the ball, and that's how you break the first line of pressure. And Fede is very good at knowing when to do that. So Fede's ability to oxygenate our transition is phenomenal. In addition to the sprinting and the effort that he gives, so Fede, as always, I thought was fantastic. Jude was less visible in terms of attack, sort of less kind of present in the moments of danger. Although he hit the crossbar and could have scored a couple of times. But he played a very, very complete match. He's an absolutely indispensable player. He's sort of everywhere. He's one of our hardest working defenders, and he's one of our most effective protectors of the ball, and he's one of our better distributors of the ball. Jude does everything right. This is one of the most complete players I've ever seen. He has incredible technique, but extraordinary muscle. His ability to protect the ball and his vision and his sense of timing is fantastic. Jude played a wonderful match, a little bit, not as flashy as other occasions, but I thought he played really well. Okay, Vini, this was a game of two halves, right? Vini, in the first half, it's like, is he even on the pitch? I don't know what is going on. The few touches he had on the ball, he didn't want to take defenders on one-on-one. I don't know why. He would always release the ball back or play the obvious pass. I really don't understand why, and we were getting very frustrated with him. But then in the second half, bingo, right? He just wakes up, and all of a sudden he becomes the explosive, unstoppable player that he is. And in the second half, he just wreaked havoc, created so much danger on the left wing. He was taking defenders on, getting past 1, 2, 3 defenders. He was just the Vini that we love, is the one that we saw in the second half. So not entirely sure what happened in the first half, but he definitely bounced back in the second. And then Kylian, I'm tempted to say man of the match. Kylian, I thought, was excellent, absolutely excellent. He ran so much. I think since Kylian has arrived in Madrid, I think it's the match that he covered most ground. It would be an interesting thing to look at, actually, how many kilometers he covered. But he ran so much, and he did so much backtracking. When we lost the ball and Atleti was in transition, he would sprint, 20, 30, 40 meters full speed to put pressure on the ball. He really contributed to our kind of defensive compactness in the Atleti transitions, and he was absolutely beautiful up front. He's such a technical player. He's just so quick, so skillful. I think he had a wonderful night. In addition to the goal, he was just always trying to create danger, but making very good decisions, passing the ball well. I thought Kylian was fantastic. By the way, I got interviewed on the way out of the stadium by, I don't know if it was French TV or it could have been North Africa, two Arabic-looking gentlemen who had a very strong French accent. So it could have been French TV or possibly North African, but they were asking me about Kylian and if I thought he was the man of the match, and the answer is absolutely. I thought he was certainly our best player. I thought Kylian and Fran were exceptional last night. Okay, some more things that I want to discuss, and we need to talk about Spain and broader issues. Look, the Liga is going to be very hard to win with all of this referee crap going on. Not a week goes by that they don't try so hard to steal points from us. It's just going to be for us to win La Liga, we have to play perfectly. We have to score an absolutely unbelievable amount of goals because we know how many of them are going to be disallowed. I'm a little bit worried about the frailty that I'm sensing from this side. There's just a kind of frailty, a sort of insecurity and a softness that really worries me. I know that the lineup will be different against City, and I think that, considering where City is psychologically, if we came out very aggressively, and by the way, Man City is not happy about playing against us. Let's not forget this. We don't want to play against them. They definitely don't want to play against us. So, and they are fragile psychologically as well. And I think that if we came out with energy and aggressiveness on Tuesday, I think that we could seriously knock them around because they are insecure. They're playing like shit this year, and I think that if we press forward and are very aggressive from the first minute, I think we can shake their confidence and get something done there. But, again, that's why I'm worried about these sort of cold starts that we've been having. The good news, of course, is that at least against Man City, we'll be playing against 11 men and not 12. You could argue, and I've made the argument before, that playing against 12 men all year makes you stronger. And then when we play in Europe, maybe this is why we keep winning the Champions League when we don't expect it, because in Europe we only play against 11 men, and we're so shocked that they aren't trying to screw us over that we find it easier to win. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see the lineup for that. A couple of other things I want to mention. In the images that I showed you guys at the beginning, there was a homage to Marcelo at the beginning of the match. And the Real Madrid players made it. Marcelo, this is not just a Real Madrid legend. This is one of the legends in world football, one of the greatest left backs ever, one of the most successful left backs in the history of the sport. And they did a corridor to honor Marcelo, and the Atletico players didn't participate. And I just want to explain to you guys that the psychology of these people. Do you remember when Jesus Navas came a couple of weeks ago? I was in the Bernabeu. They chanted his name. They gave him a standing ovation. The Bernabeu was chanting Navas, Navas, Navas. Like, we honored this player. This is a matter of respect. And I've seen the Bernabeu do it for Ryan Giggs. I've seen the Bernabeu do it to Pirlo. I've seen the Bernabeu knows when to honor, Ronaldinho, Messi. Like the Bernabeu has honored players that deserve to be honored because it goes beyond just your loyalty to a club. It's respect for the sport. And we find ourselves capable of doing this. Sevilla, Jesus Navas has nothing to do with Real Madrid, but we honored him the entire match. Every time he touched the ball, everybody would applaud. And yet here you are last night, we are honoring Marcelo, and the Atletico players don't want to do the corridor to honor him. Like, this is such a classless fucking move. Like, it's so scummy. Like, how petty and vindictive are you that you can't honor Marcelo? Like, are you that fucking bitter? Like, this is the problem with these people. They live obsessed with their hate of Real Madrid, and it conditions everything that they see and do. It's extraordinary to me. just a kind of broader discussion and why I find this whole issue so disappointing. And we're going to, from a broader perspective in terms of Spain and why I think it's so dangerous what is happening with La Liga. Spain, I don't know how much you guys know about the history of the country. In the 50s and 60s, Spain was sort of the poor boy of Europe, right? I mean, Spain and Portugal were very, very poor countries. Always second fiddle to the Germanys and UKs and France and Holland, etc. And, there was a lot of emigration, Spaniards going to other parts of Europe to find work. And we were always the sort of, little sort of third world part of Europe. And of course, all of that changed, in the 80s and 90s, and Spain joined the EU. There was a huge amount of investment infrastructure in this country. And this country now is really, truly a beautifully modern country. I mean, I can't begin to tell you, if you go renew your driver's license or get a passport or you go to the post office, every public service is just unbelievable. It's high tech and clean and efficient. It's the charm of old Europe with all the modern amenities of modern infrastructure. Everything that you can do in the US, you can do here. TaskRabbit and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all this kind of crap. It's a really, really modern country, and we're now sort of at the level of the rest of Europe in every single respect. But when we see things like this, like what is happening with the Federation and La Liga, it's so disappointing because you're taking us back to the days where we were the little third world assholes. You're taking us back to the corrupt, underdeveloped, nepotistic economy that existed prior to becoming a modern one. And I find it disappointing because it is so damaging to the image of the country. And the messages I get from my friends around the world, it's like, what the fuck is going on over there? And it's very difficult to explain because, and I'll explain to you why nothing happened. So, the current government, the prime minister is a socialist who, the only way for him to stay in power was to get the votes from the Catalan Independent Party, which was appalling. And I'm not going to bore you with the whole story, but the point is that the prime minister, who absolutely doesn't want to leave power, he has to bend over backwards and acquiesce everything that the Catalans want. And the reason I think that the government isn't doing anything about this is because they don't want to upset the Catalans, because the prime minister needs the support of those 7 parliamentary votes. So he can't do anything to harm Catalonia. He can literally ask for anything and they get it. And he's worried because obviously all of this is designed to favor Barça. And Barça is completely embedded into Catalonia and Catalan interests. And he is so submissive to the whims of Catalonia that's why nothing is happening, because in any other country, the Minister of Culture or Sport or Commerce or something would say, what the fuck is going on? We need to start over from scratch. We need to clean this up, and we need to have transparency and replicate the EPL system, the Premier League, and replicate the German system. But we need to be objective and professional and modern and fair. It's just, how can you have a totally corrupt league in Europe in the year 2025? It's incredibly disappointing, but the reason that nothing is happening from above is because of the political interests that the socialist government has and absolutely needs the Catalan votes to stay in power. And that's why they absolutely will not do anything against the current structure, which is really, really disappointing. But anyway, I just wanted to share all of that with you. I know this was kind of a long video, but I think it warrants it. And I just wanted to share with you some of my thoughts about what is happening here. I don't know how much you guys capture out there, but I've obviously followed the Spanish press and the Spanish YouTubers, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of color on sort of the backstory here. But anyway, just look again. This is sort of 1 year since I launched the channel, and once again, just want to say thank you so much for all of your support and your engagement. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, and despite everything, a la Madrid.